Good morning, good afternoon to everyone, depending on time zones. This is Joanna from Exxat. Thank you for joining us for part 10 of 15 Learning Activities Patient Log, which is part of our Exxat Prism series. The last series that is available on our YouTube channel is series 9 of 15 Learning Activities, Timesheets, and Time Off. Helping me today on this webinar are two of my colleagues, Sayantan and Ami. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. This webinar is recorded and you will receive a copy of the recording 2 hours after the webinar has completed. You'll also find the recording on our YouTube channel posted under Exxat Prism Training Series. You'll find today's presentation attached in the handout section in the GoToWebinar control panel. Feel free to follow along. Please use the questions section to ask questions or comment throughout the presentation. We will be manning the questions and addressing them during our question breaks. And if you have any technical difficulties, please use the chat box and we'll try to help you out. At the end, if we do have some additional time, we'll bring up the live platform to go through some additional questions as well. Today, we have an audience from multiple disciplines. We'll be using screenshots and data from various disciplines across these slides, and we'll also use a combination of the terminology, try to keep that as domain agnostic as possible so everyone can follow along with us. Sayantan, want to take it away?
Thank you, Joanna, for the nice introduction. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning. So as you can see on my screen, so we are the presenters for today's webinar. So Joanna is working as a senior account manager for the last 5 years in Exxat, and she is working with multiple disciplines, and she is quite experienced on the patient logging, which is our agenda for today's session. And I am Shanthan. I'm working as a senior customer success specialist in Exxat for the last 2.5 years. I've also worked in this tenure in Exxat. I've also worked with multiple disciplines. And let's get started. So as you can see on the screen, the agenda for today's webinar, we will go through the setup of how you will be able to do the setup of the logging. Then the student view, how the student will be able to view the logs, submit or fills and submits the logs, and how they will be able to review the responses. Whatever responses their supervisors, their preceptors, or their clinical instructors has given. And then lastly, we will see how the preceptors will be able to review the logs. The program administrators at the schools or universities will be able to review the logs. And then we will talk about the reporting. So let's first look at the setup. Before going into the setup, now what is patient log? So patient log is a feature or a tool that is available in the system to track the patient encounters that your students are seeing on a daily basis. So that is patient log. Now different disciplines or different domains, they call this patient logs differently. Like for example, PA, PT, they call it as patient logs. The SLP programs, they call it as clinical log. The AT program, they call it as case log. The nursing programs, as we know that we have different tracks for nursing programs. They call it, like, for example, DNP logs, FNP logs, etc. So these are some of the examples that different disciplines or the terminologies that different disciplines use for their logging by the students. Now let's see how to set up the patient log in the system. So there are a couple of ways through which you will be able to set up the logs in the system. So from the dashboard, click on the learning activities from the dashboard or from the left bar menu. Then beside that course offering which you have created, click on the setup in the action column. This is one way. Another way is you go to the courses section from the left bar menu or from the dashboard. Then you pick that course, click on the course name, And then on the left bar menu in that course offering details, you will see a learning activities drop down. As you can see, in that learning activities, you need to click on setup. When you click on setup, you will see the patient logs, which will show as the status will show as not activated. Okay, so these are the couple of ways through which you can enter in and then set up the patient logs for your students. Now, when you click on that pencil icon in the setup of patient log, some of your program might see this screen. Okay, so ideally the new users or the programs who are using Exxat for the first time for the first cohort, you might be seeing this screen on your screen. But don't worry, this is the setup page wherein if you see this screen, please reach out to a support team or your CSS or account manager to set up to actually put the template of the log here, right? Now, for existing Exxat users, or we have standard templates of the log which we can put in, right? So for the existing users or for the migrated users, like the clients who have got the programs have got migrated from the old version to the new version, you will see this setup screen, right? So let's go to the setup screen. Let's go through these options one by one. First, you see this eye icon and beside that select log type. So by clicking on this eye icon, you will be able to preview the template of the patient log or the clinical log of your program, right? The template that uh, uh, our support team or the system has put in here. Okay. Now, one thing to call out here: only one patient log, one template can be activated or can be set up in one course. You will not be able to activate multiple patient logs in the same course. So multiple means, like as I said, that we have standard templates available, which you will see in this preview from by clicking on this eye icon. But we have capabilities wherein if your program wants, we can customize those templates and put in here. And in this dropdown, you will be able to see those templates, those other templates, the standard ones and the customized ones. So you have to choose that which template you need to activate for that course offering. Then once you've previewed, you need to click on activate. This is a toggle option. You need to toggle this on and click on activate. Then this is a very good option wherein you can specify your student that log must be created within how many days of the patient encounter. So generally the students will be able to submit the logs within their rotation dates. However, if you want, you can specify, like as you can see on the screen, 3 days. So 3 days means the dates of the patient encounter, like 3 days from that patient encounter dates, the student will be able to fill the logs, right? So suppose, as I said, that it will be the duration of the rotation dates. However, after the last day of the rotation, they will still have 3 days wherein they will be able to enter the logs or submit the logs, your students, right? Then let's talk about the grading feature. So what is grading? Grading is, suppose your program wants to include the grading as wants to include the patient log as a part of your grading in the course and in that particular course offering, right? So you can turn this feature on by clicking on yes. Then you can put the out of score. Then you can put the percentage weight. You see the weightage and then the enter numerical value. So it's a free text. You can put the percentage weight, that what is the percentage of weight in the total scoring of the course offering the patient log holds. So that is grading. And this grading is also available in the grade book that we have in that course. Then the next option is customize the columns. When you are reviewing the patient log, you can customize the columns while setting it up. So when you click on this wrench, so this drawer will open from the right. So you see here there are some of the options that will be there in the template. So first is the log ID, log status, date of submission, latest status, comments. So these four options will be by default visible. Then you can see that as I've added the date of encounter, age, gender, clinical notes, preceptor name, right? So you see at the last one that add a column. So from there you will be able to add the columns and include in the display where you will review the patient logs submitted by your students. Then let's talk about the next option. If you want your students to send the patient logs to their preceptors or clinical instructors or supervisors to review, you will be able to do that. You will be able to like turn on that option by clicking on yes. And how the email template looks, you will be able to preview the same from here. So this is how the email template of that email looks like. Then recently we have added a feature which is automatic approval of the patient logs upon submission by the students. So by turning this option on or by activating this option, whenever the student is filling and submitting the logs from their end, the logs will get automatically approved. So you don't, or the reviewer, like you means the program administrator or the preceptors, whoever will be reviewing the logs, they don't have to review it ideally. So they can see that the logs have been automatically reviewed. So here I would like to I would like to tell something that I would like to call out something that if you're enabling this automatic approval, then that patient logs can be sent to the preceptors for review. However, they will not be able to review. They can see the submitted logs or the approved logs, right? And it's the same for the program administrators. So you will be able to see that the student has submitted the logs, but it will be in approved status. Yeah. And then if you want, you can add an attestation for the reviewers. Now here also, if you're enabling the option of automatic approval, then this you will not be able to add any attestation. This will be grayed out. Okay, so while activating the log, so please look into these options and accordingly you can set it up. Then once you have chosen all the options, you need to hit save on the right side. Now I would like to show some examples of the types of logs for different programs. So as you can see on the screen, this is the template, the standard template which we have for PA program, wherein you can see the encounter details as a section, the patient demographics. Then we have the visit information, and wherein in the visit information you can see the clinical setting type, surgical setting, and the other options. Then when you further go through the template, you will be able to see the diagnosis, the ICD codes section, right? And then the procedures. And lastly, the additional encounter details, which are the medications. Then this is the sample of a PT program, right? Here also you can see the encounter details, patient information sections, and then the interprofessional practice. Yeah, so what I was saying is like in nursing programs, we have different standard templates available. I've just taken one example of the template that is available for the one of the tracks for the nursing program, right? So as you can see, so here there is a section for case information, patient demographics, right? Visit information. Then we have the diagnosis, procedures, then the additional encounter details, right? Let's move forward. This is another example of a template for that we generally use for the SLP programs. So here you can see the template for the SLP programs is ideally much shorter than the other programs. So here you can see the encounter details and then the types of services delivered, wherein you can see the treatments in the first column, then the interventions, and then the evaluation. Right? And then lastly, the additional details. This is example from the AT program, wherein you can see the sections accordingly, like the encounter details, patient demographics, visit information, diagnosis procedures. Right? So as we saw these templates, so these are the standard templates which we have in the system. As I said that we have the capability of customizing these templates. If you want to add, edit, update any fields in these sections, right? We will be able to do that. Exxat will be able to do that, right? So for that, if you need to make any changes in any of the templates as per your program, please reach out to a support, or you can reach out to your customer success specialist or your account manager for doing that. Okay? And one thing I would like to tell you here is, so if we are doing any customizations or if we are setting up the logs for the first time, generally it takes like the maximum timeline which we take is 5 business days or 5 working days, right? That's the maximum time we take. However, if there are like complex customizations and like many customizations that are required in the template, that will depend on the type of request that we are getting. Yeah. Okay, so we will pause for any questions. So Amy, Joanna, do we have any questions?
I don't see any questions being posted.
I have not seen any either.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. All right, so let's move forward. Now, let's see how the student will be able to view the logs. They will be able to submit the logs. How they will be able to pull the reports, how they will be able to see the overall summary of all their logs across all the courses. Let's go through that and see it one by one. So this is the student dashboard. So when your students from your program logs in, this is the dashboard that they land into, right? And you can see there are different tiles available, like the profile, coursework, learning activities, compliance, right? So everything related to their placements, their courses will be available in the coursework section. So your students need to click on the coursework tile. When they click on the coursework tile, they will be able to see the list of all the courses. And in this list, so here you can see the list of all the courses, but however, for all the courses, placements are not there. This means that the students are registered in all the courses. However, the placements are done for these courses. So you can see the first one, which you can see is this one, which shows as current placement, and the last one you can see as completed placement. So your students will be able to see the list of the courses like this. And they need to click on the view details in their current placement course. So when they click on view details, they will land into this page in the course activities tab. Now for the students, they have 2 ways of adding or submitting the patient log. One is from this option, which says like plus sign and patient log. And beside, in the middle of the screen, you can see there are 2 boxes, forms and evaluations here, and then the patient log. So they can also click on the plus sign in the patient log section or the patient log box. So by these 2 ways, they will be able to add the logs. Now let's see the overview of that box, which I just explained the previous slide. What does these icons or the options denotes for them? So first of all, the students, whatever logs they will be submitting, they will see the total number for that course, for that rotation. Yeah. So as you can see on the screen, there are total logs 3. Now on the right side, you can see there's an option which says create template. So creating a template is basically will allow your students to preset the options or the fields in that patient log template for repetitive encounters. So this means that the student is placed in a particular course offering for the entire duration of the rotation or the time frame. Right? And the students might know that, okay, so I have to fill all these fields or the options repetitively every day if in the entire course of the entire duration of the rotation. So I can pre-fill those options of the templates, and I can create a template and I can save it in the system. So every time when he or she goes and add the patient log, they can apply that template and fill the patient log. So it will actually saves their time while adding a new log every day. Yeah. Then this option is from where they will be able to see the statistical view or the statistical report of the total logs that they have entered, and also from that section they will be able to export it as a PDF report of the statistics of the statistical view. Then, as we saw, that from this plus sign, a drawer will open and the students will be able to enter a new patient log. Now let's see how the student will be able to create a template. Now let's see the step-by-step options, right? So first of all, they will click on this add new template on the left side top. Then here they have to add the template name, as you can see on my screen. So it's a free text, so they can type and enter the template name, and they can choose the options that they want to pre-fill in this template. And once they've chosen all the options in that patient log template, they need to hit save, and the template will be saved in their system. Once the template is saved, it will be visible in the right side, or sorry, in the left side in the template section. So whatever templates they have and they have saved, they have entered and saved, all the list of those templates will be visible to them. Okay. Suppose they have created a template, but for any whatsoever reason they want to delete that template. They don't want to keep it in the system anymore. That option is also available. They can delete that template from this delete option by selecting that template from the left bar in the templates list. Now let's see how the student will be able to add a patient log. So when they click on that plus patient log or the plus sign in the patient log box, this screen as per the template of their program, it will open, right? And first option they will see at the left side top is applying the template. So here, as you can see, the templates that they have created, so they will be able to apply that existing template for that new and patient encounter. Then they can select the preceptor from this drop down, and whatever preceptors that you have added, that as a program you have added for your students, they will be able to see all those preceptors. And suppose they need to add a new preceptor information, they can do that by clicking on this plus preceptor option, right? Once they do that, they can select the preceptor from this drop down. Yeah, choose which instructor you worked with this during this encounter. Then they need to choose the date of encounter. If they need to change, ideally the system will populate that date here, right? And then once they have applied the template, chosen the preceptor, entered the date, and they have filled the other options in the other sections in the template, in the patient log template, they have to submit. Now here I would like to call out the difference between save and submit. So save means, suppose the student has started filling the patient log, but they could not complete on that one go. They can hit save. They can keep their responses that they have filled. Then they can come back the next day or whenever they want to fill it. They can fill the remaining fields and then they can submit. So please make sure that you tell your students that saving will not ideally submit the logs for the reviewer to review. Yeah, so they have to submit for the program administrator to review or for the preceptor to review. Yeah. Now let's see how they will be able to export or pull the reports of the patient logs. So from the patient log box, they need to click on this number which says 3 on my screen, and they will land into this screen. Now here you can see there are two tabs or two options, logs and statuses. So currently we are in the logs tab, right? And here they can see the log IDs. Oh yes, before going to that, so remember in the setup we selected the options that uh, that you want to review when you are reviewing the patient log submitted by the students. So similarly, the students will be also able to see those fields here. So you can see log ID, log status, date of submission, and the other options or the columns that you have chosen will be visible to your students. So this is the screen. Okay, so it's exactly as you can see on the screen. Yeah. Then they can see all these unique log IDs and they can see the status and everything. And to export this, they need to click on this export, and this information will be exported into an Excel spreadsheet. So this is how the student will be able to export this information, which you can see on the screen, into an Excel file. Now let's talk about the statistical view. Right? So they need to click on the statistics tab, and when they click, here on the right side, they will be able to choose the rotations and the settings. So both combinations they can choose. Yeah? So student can view the patient log data from any rotation or setting from the statistics screen. Yeah. Also, they have the option of choosing the view. So they can see the statistical view rotation wise, or they can see setting wise. So as you can see, you see this block 8 and you can see the statistical view for this encounter type section. So if you click on, if the students want to click on the setting, they will, instead of this rotation, they will see the setting here in the statistical report. And then once they have chosen their options, they can export this into a PDF format, the statistical report. All right, now let's see how the student will be able to see the consolidated summary of all the patient log they have submitted, what are their status across all the courses or across all the rotations. Okay, so for that they need to click on the learning activities from the dashboard. So when they click on the learning activities tile, this screen will open for them. So here you can see in the first column the courses are listed, then the placement details and the rotation and the settings and other details, the total logs and the logs by status, and lastly the statistics. Now here you can see in the logs by status column there are different colors which denotes different numbers. Now let me explain what this color denotes and what are the status suggests for the students. So this yellow which says number 2, so this actually suggests that the number of logs that are in pending review status. So this pending review means students have entered their logs, they have submitted it, and it is yet to be reviewed by the reviewer. Yeah, so that is pending review. Then the red which says 0, this is needs attention. So needs attention means suppose the student has submitted the logs, the reviewer has reviewed the logs, but the reviewer has not approved the logs. So the reviewer is not happy the way or the options that the student has chosen while filling the log or while submitting while filling the template and then submitted the log. So he wants the reviewer, he or she wants the student to fill the log again. So there is an option at the reviewer end, which we will see when we talk about the review part, that they can put their comments and then send that log back to the students, which will show as needs attention at the student's end. Then the last one is green, which says the number of approved logs by the reviewer. So this is what these three colors and denotes for the students. Now let's see how the students will be able to send the patient logs to their preceptors or clinical instructors or supervisors for them to review. So for that, you can see the unique log IDs and the log status in pending review. They need to click on this option which says send for preceptor review. Now here, one thing I would like to call out is that students don't have the option of choosing a particular log and then send to the preceptor for review. The logs which are in pending review, only those logs can be sent to the preceptors for review, and which means that all the pending review logs, the approved and the other status, they will not be able to send. So when they do that, when they click on that send for preceptor review, the screen will show this dialog or message that the email will be sent to the following users for submitted entries, right? And it will show what is the name of the preceptor and how many entries or how many log IDs will be sent, right? And then they need to click on the send button. As soon as they click on the send button, the logs will be sent to the preceptors for review. I will again pause for any questions if we have.
The only question that we had was about the templates, whether or not they save across courses. And I did send over the response that any templates created by the students are for that specific placement.
Okay, yes. Thanks, Joanna. Any other question we have?
No, that's all.
No? Okay. All right. So let's move forward. Now we will see how the preceptors, supervisors, or clinical instructors will be able to review the logs, how the program administrators at the
Sorry,
school.
there is one question
Oh,
that Megan has asked, that can you ask for a generic student login to see this feature, or they are all visible in faculty mode? So they want to preview the log before the student sees it. So what's the best way to do it?
So we actually do create a mock student under each university's program. If you don't have one created for whatever reason, you can reach out to support to create that mock student. Otherwise, you would log in using the email address of that mock student. And I'll put the password for mock student login in the chat here. But it would be the unique email address that was added for the mock student for your specific program.
yes. Thanks, Joanna, for answering that. Do we have any other questions, Ami?
No, those were all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ami. All right, so let's see how the patient, as I was saying, that how the preceptors will be able to review the logs, how the program administrators will be able to review the logs, and then we will see what are the different reports that are available for the patient logging or for the patient encounters. So let's see first how the preceptors or the supervisors or the clinical instructors will receive the email. So this is the email preview that they will receive at their inbox, right? And on that email, they will see this link. So this link, we call it as delegator link. As you can see that https steps.exat.com gateway delegator. So they need to click on the delegator link, and then they will be able to review the logs that was submitted by the student. Now, one thing to notify here that preceptors don't have access to Exat. But when they click on this link, they will be able to review the submitted logs, and then they will be able to approve it or whatever their responses is without any username and password. Yeah. So when they click on this link, this type of screen will open for them. So here, same way, the preceptors will be able to see the columns that you have chosen while setting up the logs. Okay. Then if they want to review each logs separately by clicking on these unique log IDs, they will be able to review each and every log that the student has asked them to review, that or the student has sent them to review. So you see here we can see two unique log IDs, and two are both the log IDs are different. Okay, and it will say the date of submission, date of encounter, every details will be visible to the preceptors. Yeah. Suppose they don't want to review each and every log separately. So there is an option of select all. So by clicking on select all the log IDs will be selected, and then they can click on approve or approve all logs. So without looking at the individual log IDs or without looking at the individual responses that they have filled on the template, on the patient logging template, they can directly select all the logs and then approve. Now let's see when they click on this log ID, how. Oh yes, before going to that, there is another option of filtering. So suppose as we saw in the previous screen that they can click on the unique log ID and then approve one by one. So suppose they have uh, clicked on that log ID and approved one log, and suppose they don't want to do it on the same day, they can come back, right? And they can click on the link again, and then if they have received multiple logs to review, right? So they can click on the status, and then they can filter with pending review. So here you can see there are three status available: pending review, needs attention, approved. Yeah. So they can select the pending review and filter only those logs that are yet to be reviewed by them. Now let's see how the preceptors will be reviewing the logs. So this is the template, like this is a template for a specific program that they will receive, right? On the first option, you see the school feedback. So here they will be able to add their feedback. As you can see, add your feedback. So there's a free text, so they can add their feedback. Then they can review all the sections in the template, and then either if they're not approving, then they can click on needs attention, or if they're approving, they can click on approve, and then the logs will be approved. Then to review the next log, they don't have to go back to that previous screen. They can simply click on the right arrow, and it will the system will take them to the next log that they have to review. Then the same way, they will see the school feedback, like they have to add their feedback and then approve. Once they have reviewed it and submitted their responses, right? Let's see how the student will be able to see the responses at their end. So this is the student view of the responses that they have received after reviewing by the preceptor. Okay. So here you can see the latest status comments. So on this column, they will be able to see the comments that the preceptors have given. Yeah. And here also they can click on the unique log IDs and then they can see the comments. Yeah. So they can click on the log IDs and then the screen will open, and at the top they will see that they will see the preceptor name, the date that they have put their comments. Right? So this is like this. So like this, they will be able to see the comments that the preceptors have given. Now let's see how the school or the program administrators will be able to review the logs. So here also there are two ways of going into that particular course for that patient log, for that course offering or for that rotation, right? So either they can click on the learning activities from the dashboard or from the left bar menu, and then they can click on the patient log link beside that course offering, or else they can create a learning activity group wherein they can include all the courses into that learning activity group, and they can click on that group as you can see on my screen, and then on the courses tab they can select the course and then click on the patient log hyperlink. Okay. Now if you're creating a learning activity group, as you can see on the screen, there are three tabs: courses, rotations, and reports. So here they will have two views or two ways of reviewing the patient log submitted by the student. Either they can click on the courses and they can click on the patient log, or else they can, from the learning activity section and from the learning activity group, they can go to rotations tab, and then for that particular rotation in that course offering, they will be able to review the patient log submitted by the students. Okay. Now when they click on that link, this sort of screen will open, and so as you can see, we are into the course and the rotations drop down. So similarly, like the students, you will be able to see the status of the logs, and it will be the same color as the students can see at their end. So yellow, red, and green, which means pending review, needs attention, and approved. Okay. So these are hyperlinks. You have to click on this logs by status. So ideally you have to click on the pending review one, which says number 2 in yellow, right? And when you do that, you will be able to see the details like this. You will see the unique log IDs, the status, and the other details, and the same columns which you have set up, yeah, from the setup screen, right? You can see those columns, yeah, and you can click on the unique log IDs and review the logs, or you can similarly you can select all and then approve the logs. And just like the preceptor, you also can filter from the status. You can filter the pending review ones, and then you can review those logs. Same way, just like as we saw that the preceptors can put their feedback, you will be able to also put your school feedback, yeah, and then you can choose the status, whatever the status should be, whether you want to approve it or you want to send it back to the students by choosing the needs attention option. Okay? And then similarly, you can click on the right arrow to review the logs, the next log submitted by that student, or maybe for the next student. Now let's talk about the reports that are available for the patient logs. So you need to click on the learning activities option. Then in the learning activities, on the left bar menu at the top below course offering, you can click on reports. This is one way. Another way is you can click on the learning activities, then you can click on the learning activity group, and then in the reports tab just beside courses and rotations, you can go to the report section for that particular learning activity group. Now, when you click on the reports, this screen will open for you. And here you can see the reports that are ideally available for the patient logs. So here you can see we have the aggregate log count, the first one, wherein you can see wherein you will be able to see the count of the patient logs submitted for each student across multiple rotations. Then we have the aggregate raw data, wherein you will be able to see the patient log statistics for each student across multiple rotations. Then we have the productivity report, wherein the system actually compares the total time spent versus the time spent with the patient in the timesheet to calculate the student's productivity on a given day at the rotation. Then we have patient log by a rotation and the patient log statistics. Now I have included some of the screenshots that how these reports will look and how you will be able to actually choose the options and extract these reports. So let's go through this one by one. So this is the aggregate log count. So here you will be able to select the course offerings by clicking on this option. Then you will have the option of choosing the rotation, that which rotation you want to include and pull the report for the logs. Then you can include or choose the settings that you want to include in this report, and then the status. After choosing all these options from these drop downs, you need to click on generate report. When you click on generate report, this is how the report will look. So you can see the student in the first column, then the rotation along with the dates and the number of patient logs submitted for each setting for that rotation. Yeah. So this is the aggregate log count. Now let's see about the aggregate raw data. So here also you can choose the course offerings, then you can choose the rotations, then the settings. Now here, instead of the status, which we saw in the aggregate log count, here you can actually include the students that you want to include and extract the report. Then you need to click on generate report. So this is the main difference between the aggregate log count and the aggregate raw data report. Right? So when you click on generate report, this is how the report will look. You can see the student name in the first column, the total logs they've entered, the average logs, and then the total logs for adolescents, which comes under age, then adult, then child, elderly. So as per the template, as per the options that are there in the patient log template, depending on your program, this report will show that raw data. And you can see this arrow here. You can actually just hover the mouse, and then the system will start showing the other columns by going to the right side. Okay. And then if you want to export this report into a spreadsheet, you can do that by clicking on this export to Excel option. Then this is how the productivity report looks like. This is basically a sort of like a Power BI report, wherein the system will give you the information. However, you can choose the fields from the top. You can choose the student name, course number, rotation, and other options. And then you can pull the report. So this tab says productivity dashboard. So this is how the report will look. Then this is the patient log by rotation. So here also you can select the course offerings, you can select the rotations, the settings, the list of students, and then generate report. And this is how the report will look. So you can see the student names, the course number, course name, rotations, the site location name, setting names, and other details. And here, this report you will also be able to extract. Then we have the statistics report. Okay, you can select the course offerings, the rotation, settings. Here you have to select the status, and then you need to click on view statistics. And when you click on view statistics, the statistical view of all these sections that the student has chosen in that patient log template will be visible. And these are some of the screenshots. You see the total number of patient log across all the rotations, then the gender across all the rotations. So this is how the statistical report will look. Now this statistical report cannot be extracted into an Excel format. This can be extracted into, this will get extracted ideally into a PDF format. Yeah. Then specifically for SLP, we have this, like for SLP domain, we have this clock hours report, okay, where you can see the interventions, yeah, evaluations. So these are the screenshots I've included. Then we have clock hours lackeys report for the SLP program, and these are the how the reports will look. Yeah, so you can see the cohort name, student name, and other details. So this was all about which I wanted to discuss on patient log today. So we have help resources available for the administrators, program administrators, and also for the students. So these are the help documents, and I have included the links which is available in the slides, in the handouts, right? So we have the managing course activities, how to activate the patient logs, then adding the patient logs by students, reviewing the patient logs. So you can refer to these help center documents. Then we have the YouTube video. So the last webinar which I have conducted back in August. So the YouTube video is available in the Exxat YouTube channel. You can also refer to that video. Then we have YouTube videos available that how the students will be able to complete the patient logs, right? So we have videos available for that, and it's a small video. You can share the link of this YouTube video to your students. Yeah, so next in this Exxat Prism training series, which is the total 15 webinar series. So this was part 10. So the next one is part 11 of 15 on the learning activities, which we will be discussing on the forms and evaluations. So please mark this date. So this will be conducted on next Thursday, ideally, April 4th. And this is the link to register for that webinar. And you can also register from the Exxat's website. Do we have any questions? Amy, Joanna?
I don't have any additional questions here today.
Okay. Ami, do we have any questions in the chat
No,
or anything?
no, we answered most of them.
Okay. All right. So then we can wrap it up. So do you want to add anything, Joanna, or are we good?
No, I was just going to say that we do have some additional time, that if there are any additional questions, we can walk through any live screens or any of those unique questions for the programs. You have our attention for a bit longer here, and we want to make sure that we provide this time to you.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining in and listening to us and patiently, and have a great rest of the day.